This is STAAR guided practice numbers 34 through 36. Number 34 says which line shown on the coordinate grids below has a slope of 3. Remember, your slope is your rise over run. So you're going to count how many it rises. 1, 2. And then how much it runs. 1, 2, 3. So for A, your slope is 2/3, which is obviously not 3, so A is not your answer. Let's look at B. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, let me do that again. It's not 4, it's 1, 2, 3. And then your run is 1. 3 over 1, of course, gives you 3, which is what we're looking for. But let's just make sure it's not C or D. C, you have 1 over 1, which gives you 1, so C can't be it. And then D is a negative trend, which means your slope is going to be a negative answer, so obviously D cannot be your answer either. Number 35 says the following pairs of angle measures are the measures of two angles of two triangles. Which pair of triangles would not be similar because they do not have two pair of congruent angles? Okay, let's go ahead and draw triangles for these and label the angles and go from there. Okay, go ahead and draw your triangles. Just understand that these triangles are not drawn to scale. In other words, they're just being used for illustration purposes. All right, so what we want to do is we want to find the third angle so that we can see if they equal each other. So to do that, you're going to add these two angles, which gives you 71, and then subtract it from 180 because all triangles have equal 180. So 180 minus the 71 should give you 109. Okay, so far we have the 30 and the 30 equal each other, the 109 and the 109 equal each other. So now we just need to make sure that this one equals 41, and then we know that they're all congruent. All right, so we're going to add 30 plus 109, gives you 139. Subtract that from 180, and gives you 41. Okay, so since all three of these angles are congruent to each other, this one is definitely similar, so F cannot be your answer. Okay, let's look at G. Go ahead and draw your triangle. Label the angles that are given. Let's start with the first one. You're going to add 70 plus 92. Subtract that from 180. 180 minus the 162 gives us 18. So this angle is 18. So we already know that they all equal each other because if this one is congruent to this one and this one is congruent to this one, then this one also has to be congruent to this one. All right, so G is similar, so that's not your answer. Okay, let's look at H. Go ahead and label your 30 and your 58 on the first triangle, and then 58 and 90 on your second triangle. We're looking for the third angle on the first triangle. So we're going to add 58 plus 30, which gives us 88. And then subtract that from 180. And that should give you 92. Okay, so this one equals this one. You can already see this one is not congruent to this one. So therefore, these cannot be similar figures because for them to be similar, the angles have to be congruent. But let's go ahead and find the other one just so we can get that one too. All right, so for this one, you add up 58 and 90, which gives you 148. And then 180 minus 148 gives you 32. So as you can see, this one is also not congruent to this one. Therefore, these are not similar, so H is your answer. Number 36 says, Anne deposited $500 in an account that earned 5% simple annual interest. Shelley deposited $500 in an account that earns 5% annual compounded annually. They leave the money with no withdrawals or deposits for 4 years. Which statement is true about the 2 investments after 4 years? Okay, for now, we're going to go ahead and just do the simple interest, which is Anne. If you see a question on the STAAR test and it asks you about the simple interest, you're going to go straight to your reference chart and you're going to write down the formula for simple interest, which is I equals principal times the rate times the time. And then you're just going to replace the variables with numbers. The principal is 500 because that's how much she deposited. The rate is 5%, and you want to change that to a decimal. And when your time is how long it's been in the account, which in this case is 4 years. Okay, just put that in the calculator, and that's going to tell you how much interest it grew. Okay, so the interest is $400. The question is asking how much money is in the account. So what you want to do is you want to add the 500, which is what she started with, plus how much interest grew. And that's going to tell you how much is in the account after this 4 years. Okay, when you do the independent side for number 36, instead of answering that question, go ahead and just find out how much the simple interest is. Okay, so this is a new question for number 36 on the independent practice. How much money did Adeseli have in her account after 4 years? Okay, go ahead and flip it over. Do the other side on your own. Another strategy that you might want to consider that I've seen some students do that seems to work for them is they'll look at the video on how to do the guided for, like, let's say number 34, and then they flip it over and they do the independent side number 34. So that way they can practice it right away. If that works for you, great, do it. Whatever helps you remember this stuff, whatever helps you get better on the STAAR test.